don't care about the freaking box. Just get the freaking figure. That's the
Yes.
main part of it.
Exactly.
Don't get the stupid box. Even though I have the rare box anyways, so... Let's go ahead and go on to the Xenoblade figures. There's actually the Shulk and Pyra and Mythra amiibos just aren't shown off on this list, even though they should be. But we have the Noah and Neo amiibos just sitting here. I don't understand that.
Right.
Maybe they're part of the Super Smash Bros. Figures as part of its origin. And that's why they aren't showing off right here. But they should still be showing off as Xenoblade. I don't understand that, but whatever. It is what it is. Maybe we can just update it one of these days.
Yeah.
But anyways, our first Xenoblade figure is actually a model kit of the light frame base Scout from Xenoblade X.
Can I say that is so hard to get a hold of?
Yeah, especially.
So hard.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some people wanting this model kit, and you can't really find it anywhere these days.
I saw one last year and it sold for $250 because I don't have it either.
Dude.
Like,
wow.
That's like, I have all the figures on this page but that one, and it's a build your own too. And so like I think that's partly why it's the problem, is because since it's a build your own, people like mechs and they like to custom build and do all that stuff with Gundam. It sells so fast. Like if you see it, people usually like bid like crazy on it, but like yeah, it's so hard to get. Like I've tried for a while now. So.
Yeah, it's got some neat weapons too. Like, Formula definitely put effort into this. What is Formula anyway? Do you know who they are?
This is also Kotobukiya.
Oh, Kotobukiya, that's right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
So what kind of nonsense did Kotobukiya do to this one?
It's a newer one, so it's not as bad. Like the Xenosaga ones, the only reason why they have issues with the KOS-MOS ones is because those were like done so early in Kotobukiya's career before they started getting down how to gate stuff properly. So when you put stuff in those things that I'm calling gates, there's like a sheet, and inside the sheet there's like these little things that attach to the pieces to hold them in that sheet, right? Well, they're called gates, and when you use these nippers, they look like shears, but they're like little clippy thingies. You clip out the parts, and the things that they are left behind on the pieces are called nubs, which you sand down. Well, the gates, what they did was Kotobukiya used to put the gates on the wrong side of the piece. So depending on where you attach those pieces, when you cut them, it can make things exponentially harder to fit together because those little nubbies that get left behind get left in awkward places. So the Xenosaga ones had issues with that. And then later on, now that they're like way better at it, the gates are usually put on the back side of the pieces. So like, let's say you have a leg, and let's say it's left side and right side, right, that connect together. They put the nubs on the side where when you cut it, it's not visually as apparent. So when you put the piece together, you don't have to worry so much about cleanup. So like, ideally, those little nubs that get left behind and you sand, you used to have to sand a lot whenever it was like something you visually look at, right? But if it's like a piece that's like not going to be shown, it's like inside structurally, or if it's like a piece that's like on a side where it's not as visibly apparent, it's easier for the modeler to not have to, like the person putting it together, not to have to do extra work. So like whenever they started developing those, Kotobukiya did, they got better at leaving those types of things in better positions where you don't have to worry so much about putting so much extra time just cleaning up. So that's why it becomes so complicated. But this is newer, so like so they had technology that was better, so it's not as hard to work with. A lot of the newer kits are more friendly. But that's scary to say because even the Siren's difficult to work with. So I mean,
oh
like,
yeah, we will get to
like,
Siren eventually.
Yeah, the scale of like how well you can work with them is totally dependent upon them. So
I guess this is one of the better Koto figures in general. They've done a lot of Gundam kits in the past, and this is similar to a Gundam, so they're pretty good to actually build and show off those moving parts and whatnot. So yeah, I definitely think this is one of the better mech/gear figures that we got from the Xeno series. Alright, and next up is... what can I even say at this point? I think everyone has this figure if they are watching this video. And if you don't have any of these figures, I hope you can get one of these someday. I think they're pretty cheap right now. They get restocked pretty easily on the GoodSmile website. But we have the Pyra figure as well as the Mythra figure. I have these new in box myself, but in general, I love the articulation on these figures. Like, they have a lot of detail to them. Like, their swords especially look really good. And they have, like, a little bit of flair in both of them as well. Like, they look fantastic, really. And their stands are really good here as well. Like, the square-looking one compared to, let's just say, the Ultra KOS-MOS ones, which are more hexagonal. These figures have a more square kind of shape to them with their stand. So that's why it can be pretty comparable in that regard. And what can I say? They are really good. I mean, one thing I can say about them is, like, have you ever heard anyone complain about them having that one pedestal and they look like they're leaning a little bit with that pedestal? Have you ever heard some people complain about that, Watte?
It's sort of hard because so people have gotten so good these days because of technology of counterfeiting. So here's the thing about that. There are some that are so exactly, they look packaged the same in everything. Because I had somebody not too long ago, I think it was like when they did the third, because I think this is like the third reprint of them. Somebody came to me before the third reprint and was like, oh, I want to see if these are authentic. And so they sent me pictures of it, and it actually wasn't authentic because on the box, there's a Nintendo seal that Nintendo puts on it alongside GoodSmile seals. And there are certain seals that are on the box, and there's a certain way that the box should look and certain things that should be on the box. But like the box was so identical, if you weren't specifically looking for certain seals and certain places of where it's sealed, it's very easily now that you can get fooled by these. There's one that has completely different packaging that like you're like, obviously that's fake. But the ones that are not the legitimate ones lean. The ones that I've had for the last year that are the GoodSmile ones, these, I haven't had any issue because they come with like a secondary stand. But if you don't have that on there, yes, eventually it will lean. It's just gravity. Like you have to properly display it. If you don't, then it's gonna lean. Yeah.
Gravity sucks.
On the leg. Yeah.
I am
yeah,
definitely putting this pedestal on them because, yeah. I don't want my figures to lean so heavily just like that.
Yeah. I mean, they get so scary when they do that because, like, there's, like, a Madoka Magica figure that's like that. And, like, they recently re-released it, and people had complaints about the first one because it would snap at the ankle.
Oh,
it had a
my God, issue. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the... But the difference with these is these are at an appropriate angle. Like, I don't think these would ever snap. But, like, the way that the Madoka one was, it was lifted by the ankle. So, like, it would snap at that because the pressure was on the ankle. These are like more balanced because of the swords and everything, so I feel like it's not as bad. But GoodSmile did have to replace my Mythra leg pieces. They sent me just like her legs because on the bottom where those jewels are that are on her legs.
Oh yeah,
that
right
piece,
here.
Those pieces break out. Like not on the sword, but on her leg and on her foot.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, those will break out, like break off on them. But I mean, like, that's why you have to, like, because they're fragile pieces, so, like, they pop off. So, like, mine came without the pieces on it, but they replaced it. But, like, that's the only thing you have to watch out for is, like, those pieces on Mythra is, like, it's you know, Pyra doesn't have so many sharp points, but Mythra is, like, easier to break.
Yeah, you obviously want to be careful on how you handle these figures, too.
Yeah.
But I feel these figures in the wider space alone with Nintendo is probably one of the most well-known Nintendo figures. And you've seen Sakurai show them off in his presentation as well. And that is the main reason why these figures got massive reprints in the first place. Remember how it was so hard to find, like, around the time Pyra and Mythra were revealed in Smash?
Yeah.
And Sakurai showed off these figures off, then they became extremely hard to find back then.
Yeah. And part of it, too, is, what's interesting is we have a different version with, like, we have tights. Our Mythra has tights on. I found it interesting. I thought that when they produced them, they were going to add that on to, like, a US release, like, change the type of outfits. Because that's what, you know, they did by region. And they didn't change it. They just left it the same, which is interesting. The boxes actually, and this goes back to my collection thing, my issue. I have 3 of them. I have one out for display, and then I have one for Japanese and one for English because they changed the namings on the boxes.
Yep.
So, like, one will say Hikari and one will say Mythra. One will say Homura, one will say Pyra. Same thing with Melia. Melia says Melia Ancient on the Japanese one and Melia Antiqua on the English box. What's crazy is the English versions are way more expensive because of the box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, than the Japanese ones, and that's only because when GoodSmile ships them over, they repackage them, the GoodSmile US. So like everywhere else in the world, it's Melia Ancient. So you have the whole entire world who goes by Melia Ancient. US is the only region that has Melia Antiqua.
Wow,
So,
that's
like,
interesting.
Yeah, so like if you buy the US version and you look at the boxes, the one that's Melia Antiqua is like $750 now.
Dang.
But like, yeah, but like the one that's like Japanese is like $100-$200. Like, you know, it's like less than whatever the MSRP was at the time. But yeah, it's crazy. Keep your boxes.
We'll talk about that later, but make sure you keep your boxes just to make sure. I actually have the Japanese Pyra box where it says Homura, and I have the English Mythra box where it just says Mythra.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting detail that not a lot of figures do as much.
Yeah.
That they change the name based on the region that they are produced in, or the box is produced in. So it's rather interesting in that regard. So thanks for bringing that up. It would be really helpful to know.
It's really crazy. That's why I said it's sort of hard to curate stuff because there's variations amongst regions too. And I usually only focus on like English and Japanese only because English is my native country and, you know, like US, and then Japanese is the original. So like that's usually what I focus on. But usually out of those two regions, there's not a wide variation in packaging. You know what I mean? Like usually there's not like a third name out there somewhere. Usually it's either Japanese and English and that's it. So
I guess that's it for Pyra and Mythra. These are fantastic figures. Definitely check out the GoodSmile and AmiAmi site whenever they restock, because they seem to be restocking Pyra and Mythra every few months or so, but they may be decreasing a little bit more as time goes on, so keep your eyes on them if you have the money for them.
Yeah, even if you save up for it, because they said after this last third reprint, they're
definitely
not
get them,
anymore.
yeah.
So like if you want it, like you should just, you know, even if it takes you a while to save up, yeah, the sooner the better on especially a lot of these scale figures, because scale figures tend to price higher than like articulated stuff. So
alright, it's time to talk about Siren. I don't think anybody likes Siren at all. Because of how popular Xenoblade 2 was, they had the Pyra and Mythra figures, and then along with the Siren Kotobukiya figures. And what even is this? Like, it's just mostly glass wings here.
They're not even glass, they're like plastic.
Yeah, they are plastic, and it's like, what even is the point of doing this? I mean, there is a point to this, but we will get to this later. But this Siren figure, looking at it, is just pure disappointment everywhere else. For one, it is really hard to build, and the pieces break really easily like every other Kotobukiya figure we've talked about. But the articulation, the way it just looks right here, but what are they on the wings? But no, they are actually attached to the figure itself, and even the freaking stand looks really bad. I don't know, this is not a great Xenoblade figure in general.
To caveat that, and this is just like a little footnote, I sent you a link just now if you could show that link on the page. So there's an Etsy store.
Yeah, wait, yeah. I was going to talk about them, but yeah.
Sorry for jumping the gun. Go for it.
Just this model kit in general is just eh. But then we get to talk about the wings here. Now, in case nobody knows, on Etsy, I believe there's some guy who lives in the central US, but he makes die-cast wings for figures that need a modification of sorts. Like I said, it is die-cast, but you actually have to paint it yourself. It doesn't come as this color. Like, you'd have to actually paint the wings. And there are instructions in English that you can use too, if that helps with the painting process. You can also buy a really cool stand for it that is just basically a Zohar shape. And it's so much better than any kind of model kit figure that has ever been released for the Xeno series. Like the different stand and wings and the different halo easily make this one of my favorite figures ever. Like, just doesn't this look cool?
So like, looking at just like the, you know, the first image with the, I wanted to point out the what is it called?
Yeah, the fluorescent, yeah.
I was talking about those markers earlier. See those lines on there that are like light blue across the whole entire Siren? That's what's called panel lining. Usually you do that with like a black marker to make it pop out. But what this person did instead was they used the fluorescent color to like use it as the panel lighting. And so that's why it pops so much. Like each part of the gears where like the lights in between where like it's glowing. Especially like on the body of it and stuff. So it's so cool when people customize it. And like I have mine built right now, but I haven't put the decals on it yet, and I haven't finished because I wanted to order these wings.
Yeah, I actually do have mine, but I still have yet to color them in yet.
How long did it take you to get them in?
It took
a while?
Around 6 months. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know I bought the Siren kit along with the stand itself. So maybe the stand would have taken a long time to get here.
Okay. It's totally worth it though. Like even if not, like
but
even
yeah,
if you
it's
get it
just
later.
$55 just for this whole set. I would recommend getting this just to make the Siren model kit look 1,000 times better than what we actually got.
Cause I built it with the plastic part, and yeah, I agree. It's not the greatest. But yeah, it's so cool. But that's the part of the hobby part for people who aren't familiar, because some people just like put it together and like, oh, it's lackluster.
But
like
yeah,
if you look at this,
you can make it look good.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make it look good with the better modifications for it. Like, man.
That's why people get so excited. It's like a part of the artistry of like creating it, you know? And if you don't do it, it's fine. It looks okay as it is, but what I'm saying is like if you're not happy with the minimal, if you aren't happy with the minimal, you know, there's things you can do to make it better, you know? So, but yeah,
and you can pose
this figure,
it too, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I might make it look like this pose whenever I get the kit finished. It will look pretty great. Like, have the wings spread out and have it be in this pose. That will be pretty fantastic.
I had to do so much sanding on it. Like, I'm gonna have to do weathering on it probably, like just because I feel like doing it. But like, there's a sandpaper grade that you start and you sand through and stuff. It's something you don't have to do, but if you're like wanting to customize it like that guy did, like he clearly sanded it down and stripped it and stuff. Cause like even the paint on the body of it looks sparkly. So I imagine they spray painted it or something. Cause like it looks like
they did spray paint it, I believe.
Yeah,
I think you just spray paint the wings and the stand too, to just get the colors out there. If you are getting the model kit, you definitely should get the wings from this guy. I know it would take a while to get to your place, but it is worth it. It is $55 for the complete set, and if you have enough patience, you can definitely wait on that. So.
And even if you don't use it yourself and you have it stored, one day someone's gonna need that, and if you have that for them, like just to be able to have that on hand, to be able to give somebody else that option if you decide to part with yours, I think that's just a cool thing. Like get it for yourself, and then if you use it, great, that's awesome. If you decide to move on from it, that's cool too. But like by people ordering stuff like this, even though it's not like official per se, but like the artistry, the people that make these things, it helps them, and on top of that, it helps anybody else who wants to make their figure look cool now or in the future. So like there's no real loss in ordering it if you order. Just waiting is all, But yeah, it's definitely awesome if you mod it. Top tier if you mod.
We already talked about KOS-MOS in the tier list video, but I definitely want to talk about it even more because I only showed one angle of the KOS-MOS figure. But I should mention it looks freaking awesome still. Like, I would say it would be about as good as the Pyra and Mythra figures are. Just in her pose, her arm cannons as they are depicted in Xenoblade 2. It's all really cool, and you can even put that mask on her and everything.
Yeah.
And it even makes her look like Cavos,
I feel like
too.
it's so complicated, Like, I feel like it's so complicated of a design. Even the layers on the cannons you pinned out, like the levels of like the holes and the in-depth, like just the form of it, I feel is so complex. I think that's what makes it really fun to look at, is like, it just looks so over the top.
I know, for sure.
Ugh. The Xenoblade, all the Xenoblade figures look so good. Yeah, if you have to choose, I mean, go with the GoodSmile. Just do it if you have to choose, Just
the GoodSmile figures are the most well known, and they are always a good quality figure. And they are super reliable as well. Like, look at the detail on these. They are so impressive.
Yeah, it's just insane. Yeah, I just can't get over it. It's pretty crazy. just the fact that the Zohars are cannons like blew my mind when I first
Right,
saw.
that's true too. So
I was like, what? Who does that? That's such a cool idea. Anyway.
all right, let's get on to my treasured Melia figure right here. Like, when I saw this being revealed for the first time, I was like, oh my god, I want to see this. And when it was shown off just like this, I was like, holy sh! This looks so good!
The grass.
But yeah, let me talk about that later. So, when this got shown off, we were in the Melia Discord server, and everyone was talking about how just amazing this figure was, just as a pure representation of Melia in general. And we finally got the figure colored in. I was like, GoodSmile, take my money, okay?
Yeah.
Like, man, it was just incredible just seeing this here. And talking about the figure itself, like, just the articulation is just as good as Pyra and Mythra's was. It's a little hard to get the World Ender on her hand, though, when you first put it in. But you will eventually get it on there. But everything else looks so good. The stand is one of the best Xeno stands we ever got, because it has that felt-like grass texture on it. And I don't think any figure I have seen has this grass texture. And it looks really cool, just in general.
I still whenever they say go touch grass, I still go touch the grass underneath it. Because the grass feels so good. Like it's weird, the material. But it looks so, it adds that depth to it that's just really, really cool. But I've always liked her costume in regards to the DLC. Like, I've always liked
with Future
that
Connected,
style.
this is my favorite outfit for Melia as well.
Yeah.
Even with the Queen and the Hero outfits, I still think this is my favorite Melia outfit.
Yeah, I agree.
I even made a meme when the prototype was revealed. You remember the Poe meme, right? Where he was holding something up? And people were making these Twitter images out of it. I made one of the prototype Melia figure right here, and I think this might be one of my favorite shitposts I've ever done, just because of that. Like, I know it is overdone.
The hair's really great, too.
Oh, yeah. The hair is fantastic. Like, especially right here. It isn't super bunched up or anything. There's some strands that come out here as well. Like, it looks so fantastic, though. Like, the sleeves and everything.
Proper cinnamon bun hair.
Yeah, real.
Roll.
And, like, look at the clothing. Like, this is extremely well detailed. Momoka actually says this is one of her favorite figures just in general. Just because it is Melia and she got a figure. So this is an instant W for her because she is a big Melia fan.
That makes sense.
And even the back of it looks great, too.
That looks crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Like, I can't say enough of this. I am a huge Melia fan, and I'm just super happy that she got a freaking amazing figure that everyone really liked. Even the people who don't care for Melia say this figure is just as good as the Pyra and Mythra figures.
It's one of those things that's like, you just need one good figure of your one favorite character. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't need like 50 of them.
Right.
Just give me one really cool figure, and then like that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is like a really big one for Melia. I feel like this is the one good figure. I mean, if they do more, awesome, but at least there's this. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, I just think this is a fantastic figure. The pose is really unique for Melia. I don't think she even has artwork for Melia just for this pose that is unique just for this figure itself. But I just like the whole thing in general. So if you're a Xeno collector and you happen to find one out there in the wild, definitely get this. Even though the boxes that say Melia Antiqua are a lot harder to find, the ones that say Melia Ancient are still worth picking up. I don't care about the freaking box. Just get the freaking figure. That's the main part of it.
Exactly.
Don't get the stupid box. Even though I have the rare box anyways, so...
It's just so weird that the box is like a make or break on price. It's so crazy to me. It's literally the same figure. It's like, but the things that people choose to make things more valuable is crazy.
True.
You know?
And now we go on to Blade Nia, which I don't even need to have a spoiler for this. I'm sure everyone knows who Blade Nia looks like. So what can I say?
Right.
The figure looks huge. Like, the hair is huge. The scimitar is really huge. The stand is pretty big. Like, I need to find a place for her. And that's why I haven't taken her out of the box yet. But it's a lot bigger than what you think she is going out off from here.
I could barely get it to fit on my shelf. Like I got it to fit on the Siren shelf, and like they barely made it because the sword's so tall. But like
just for a 1/7 scale too, so.
Yeah, and it's like the base too is like really elevates it too high. So it's like, yeah.
I like the core crystals design on the stand as well. Not as cool as the grass for Melia, but it is cool at least.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the core crystal is like a little. It's hard because it's like, I feel like they could have done. I get that it's meaningful for Nia, so I get that why they chose that, but like it just sort of feels like a little, like flat.
Yeah,
I don't know, it sounds like a little mean.
Yeah.
But it's like it's very much like a blue blob stand, you know?
Yeah, now that I see it more, there is no kind of gradient to it. It's just this big crystallized stand. It reminds me of the Gnosis stand that KOS-MOS from the Namco Cross Bandai figure is standing on. This Gnosis stand is like the same kind of criticism I have here. It's just this one big giant glob of yellow that I just don't like. I can definitely see why people would criticize Nia for having this blue blob of a stand, so...
I put a picture in the shelf that I have, and like, she's like, even with like Siren's wings extended, she barely fits. And that's like a 12 by 12 cube? She barely fits. So like, I had to like bend the sword, I keep saying sword, but we all know what it is. Yeah, I had to bend it backwards towards the back corner for it to like angle to fit in. So it's really pretty big.
Yeah, I would need to find a proper display case to actually have the whole thing. And I would put it as the very top of where I need more space. Because yeah, you would need a lot of space for this.
The hair's wild.
And the hair is the biggest part of the figure itself. And it's one of the bigger deal breakers. The Nia figure is more expensive, but the thing is, it all comes down to the hair, really. Like, you need to have those pedestals in order for her hair to stand upright, or else she would lean really heavily. Even more so than the Pyra and Mythra figures that would need those stands.
I think part of it, too, is the expense actually literally came down to the sculpting of the hair, because the hair's so detailed. Like, I could see, like, the details on the back half, if you, like, look from her from behind, it's, like, so detailed that it's, like, clearly that's where the expense comes from. I feel like if they would have not been so specific and, like, if the hair was more connected and not so, like, separated, I feel like maybe the cost wouldn't have been so high to produce. Because the more you detail it, the more expensive. So I think that her hair is a costly price we're paying for the hair in this scimitar.
Yep, yeah.
Because the scimitar on that as well, like the branch with the flower and everything, that's super detailed. So
for sure.
To make So like that's what I'm saying is like a lot of her pieces are very, like, I don't know if I'd call it fragile, but they're so individually sculpted that like I can see why it's the price it is detail wise. But yeah, you're definitely paying for the amount of detail.
Which this is an overly well-detailed figure. I like the Melia one, but the Nia one is just so overly detailed just for the Nia fans. You know what? I'll just say that. I like to make fun of the Nia fans a lot, and like, I'm just gonna say this. This Nia figure is overly detailed. That's perfectly right for the Nia fans, okay?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, there's that one figure you want. You get one, you know, this is Nia's, so more power to them if it's super, you know, specifically detailed. But yeah, the Xenoblade figures are great.
Yeah, I'll have it out one of these days. I still have it in my box, just waiting for it to show the light of day and, like, have a proper place for it that is big enough just for her to be in, so...
Yeah.
Alright, and next up is a figure coming out in the next year in February. This is the Mio Figma. What do I even say? It's a decently looking Figma right here. It has a lot of stuff to it that I can customize with her flute as well. You got her long hair attachment as well. Like, it's really cute. Like, you could put a lot of stuff into that Figma in general, so... But it's got a lot of different kinds of poses with it too, like this action pose. There's other cute poses as well, especially with her long hair. Definitely once I get it and put it out, I am keeping that long hair attachment. It just makes a lot of sense.
Did you also choose long hair
I did choose
in the
long
game?
hair.
Long hair team.
Long
let's
hair
go.
Mio, best Mio, okay?
Yeah, I agree.
Although I will say though, if those hair attachments are part of the head, I don't see it to be this one. I would want to put the Mio Figma to be at this angle so it could be at this action pose. But I want her hair to be long as well. But it doesn't seem like you can do that for her, so hopefully it is more customizable than what I would think it would be. Oh, okay. It does have an attachment to it, so you can definitely make an action pose of that too. That's cool.
And then look at the writing in the journal. That's so awesome. I love when they do
it's
that.
a
when
nice
they,
little
like,
detail.
When they have like little journals or books and stuff and they have the text in it. I love when they do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is pretty fantastic. And as like a Mio fan myself, like her getting a Figma as well as a scale figure, which we will get to in a couple minutes, that is just pretty incredible. I hope GoodSmile does more Figmas in the future just for the other characters we couldn't get otherwise. But I feel like having a Figma and a scale figure just seems like a bit too much, really. Like, where is the Union Senna Figma? Like, I want those too, but we just got a scale and a Figma for Mio, and that's it, so...
Give us the Yugma, the Sigma, the Union,
The Sigma.
Senna. Exactly. You know, I agree. Maybe it's just, I mean, it is their newest game, so maybe they just are starting out with them, you know? Congratulations to Noah for getting an amiibo at least, because at least it's like the only guy figure.
From that
like, the
series,
only guy
yeah.
figure. Yeah, it's like, okay, congratulations.
Okay, we'll get to the guy figure discussion in a little bit, but I want to get to our last figure on our list, which its prototype has just recently been announced, and it will be probably a 2025 release. And that is the Mio scale figure, which I heard some people not really liking this figure that much, especially when it was revealed. And it all has to do with the pose she has. People have been saying that, oh, I want Mio to be an action-focused pose, or I want to have a different facial expression, but I don't really care. I think this is kind of cute. It's not like my favorite looking figure of everything or anything. I would still say the Melia figure looks better than this, even if it became a bit pre-painted. But that's the thing though, it hasn't been painted yet. You guys have to wait until this figure gets painted and has a different stand, and then you can criticize it from there. Hey guys, so actually a quick update on the Mio scale figure. While editing this video, the scale figure was shown off again at One Hobby Autumn 2023, and it shows off what the stand is going to look like. And it looks really great as a prototype. The stand has the symbol for the Zephyr class, which was what her starting class was in Xenoblade 3, and it looks much better than the stand that was shown to people originally. I personally think this looks fantastic. Although I still have heard some people still complain about the pose. But I can't wait to see the colored version at the Winter One Fest coming next year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for it to be painted, because I think painting makes a lot of impression, especially when you have like the natural shadow of the figure. Like you can see where the coat is, where there's like a natural shadow from the coat. I think that once you get to see like the painting of it, I think it may change perception once you know.
Oh, for sure.
Because sometimes we don't like figures on grayscale, but
Grayscale,
sometimes like
yeah.
the idea of like colored looks so much better. Because I wasn't very impressed by Nia originally when it was just grayscale. And then when it got the colors in and it really popped, I was like, okay, I see why it's so sculpted that way. But for sure, I think that people just rush too much.
Yeah, definitely
Usually,
wait and see
yeah.
for the Mio scale figure, so...
Because usually somebody has an idea on like, when they model it versus what the final product would be. They usually have an idea.
Alright everyone, I think I'm gonna end the Xenoblade figure discussion. Thanks everyone for watching all the way to the end, and stay tuned this Friday where Watte and I will have a discussion about why there isn't much of guide figures in the Xeno series. Also, I would like to thank Daniel from Evernight Studios and Good Vibes Gaming for making that awesome animated logo in the intro. Definitely check out his website if you haven't already, which will be in the description down below. In fact, go ahead and follow and subscribe to Watte on his other platforms and on YouTube, where he has a gallery video going through all of his Xeno series collection. So please check that video out if you can, along with his other endeavors. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button on my videos, as well as share my videos around and hit that notification bell to be updated on further Xeno series videos coming in the future. And until next time guys,
see you on the other side!